Spinosaurus and Tyrannosaurus are two of the most famous and culturally influential megatheropods, with a fanboy rivalry dating back to 2001. One was a huge water-based predator from North Africa that feasted on fish the size of cars, and the other was an even bigger North American tyrant that took on living tanks. Our understanding of both species has changed dramatically since they were discovered, but Spinosaurus in particular has been the subject of back-and-forth drama regarding its ecological role. Was it a bipedal monster that took on other theropods? Was it a knee-deep wader? Or was it an aquatic pursuit predator that used its powerful tail to dive under the surface and hunt prey in the water column? A new study indicates that, at least in this respect, Spinosaurus and Tyrannosaurus had something in common: the way that they used water in their environment to hunt. A team of Spinosaurus experts, including Nathan Myhrvold and Paul Serino, performed an analysis of the methods used in Fabry et al. 2022. That study used ecological modeling based on bone density to say that Spinosaurus was likely a subaqueous forager, or an animal that spent its time diving underwater to find food. Myhrvold's team says hard stop. They're not saying that Spinosaurus spent no time at all in the water, but that it wasn't a diving pursuit predator. It was too slow for one thing, and for another, Spinosaurus probably couldn't dive at all. They took the same bone density and width requirements for a subaqueous forager as defined by Fabry's team and compared them to extant species. It turned out that there were quite a few animals that, while meeting the morphological requirements for an animal that would theoretically spend most of its food gathering time underwater, didn't do it. Such animals included hippos, tapirs, beavers, water voles, and even crocodiles, which as adults take their prey from the shoreline. Another potential explanation for Spinosaurus's high bone density is its large size. At the very least, the neotype was over 3 tons, and fragmentary adult specimens were close to 8 tons. Myhrvold's preprint is quick to point out that in Fabry's original analysis, other large taxa comparable in body mass to Spinosaurus weren't analyzed, potentially creating a bias when it comes to association with ecological roles. It seems that they included a large number of open ocean animals like plesiosaurs, but removed quite a few of potentially behaviorally similar animals like hippos, making the dataset difficult to trust in terms of how reliably it can predict an animal's diving behaviors based on bone density. They also analyzed how pneumatic Spinosaurus's bones were, and found that his precaudal vertebrae were actually more pneumatized or filled with hollow cavities than either Baryonyx or Suchomimus. It would have been too buoyant to be able to engage in a diving lifestyle. While diving birds like penguins and cormorants have light bones, they also have the streamlined structures and ability to propel themselves fast enough to shoot down into the water. Spinosaurus, with its surprisingly inefficient paddle tail and enormous size, didn't have those advantages. It seems far more likely, based on these recent analyses, that it would have filled an ecological role more comparable to a gigantic heron of death, stalking the shoreline and the shallows for giant fish, small semi-aquatic animals, and the occasional stray pterosaur. It may have also swam on the surface, picking off prey there. A surprisingly similar story seems to be unfolding on the Tyrannosaur side of things. A new study by Ernesto Blanco looked at the possibility of Tyrannosaurus rex taking advantage of its enormous body size and powerful limbs to catch faster prey in water. This may sound a little silly at first, but his argument is sound. Blanco recognizes that recent biomechanical studies place T.rex's walking speed on land at 10 meters per second, or about 22 miles per hour. While that's fast enough to easily catch 99% of sprinting humans, with Tom Cruise and Usain Bolt safely ahead, it's slower than many of T.rex's assumed prey items like Edmontosaurus and Struthiomimus. But we have healed bite marks from T.rex on animals like Edmontosaurus, so clearly predation occurred. T.rex must have caught up to them somehow, even if every hunt wasn't successful. While ambush predation and endurance running are both valid hypotheses, and they probably did happen, Blanco raises another suggestion. What if T.rex herded its prey into the water? The core of the study relies on the biomechanical modeling undergone here. Blanco created 3D models for Tyrannosaurus, Edmontosaurus, and Struthiomimus and calculated their absolute swimming speeds in shallow water environments. He specifically used conservative estimates and stated that he would deliberately underestimate the speed for Tyrannosaurus and overestimate the speed for its prey animals in order to be confident in the results. He also looked at multiple versions of swimming, including wading knee-deep, deep wading, bottom punting, and surface swimming. In all categories except for shallow wading, Tyrannosaurus outsped both of its prey animals. This works because Tyrannosaurus's large feet and high body mass allows it to overpower the drag generated by the water. Essentially, it was so massive that it could shove through the water, while its smaller and less streamlined prey items weren't able to generate enough relative force to escape. Another factor to consider is that since Tyrannosaurus's legs were so much longer, it would force prey to start swimming earlier while it could still walk. It would catch them even faster this way, plucking them from the water's surface and crunching them to bits with a bite force strong enough to explode their bones. The shoreline hunting tactic would likely have been employed by adult Tyrannosaurus, since the subadults and juveniles were actually extremely fast and wouldn't have needed it. I'm sure that this wasn't the only method that they used to catch terrestrial prey, or everything in late Cretaceous North America would have learned to avoid lakes and rivers like the plague, but it's an interesting addition to a complex animal. The similarities between Tyrannosaurus and Spinosaurus and their surface-swimming hunting capacities are fascinating, given how they had vastly different morphological adaptations. It's funny how science helps our perceptions of these animals change over time. 20 years ago, the idea of a giant theropod dinosaur swimming to hunt would have been laughed at by most people. But now it looks like Spinosaurus was a trendsetter, and Tyrannosaurus is happy to follow in its watery footsteps. Blanco makes sure to point out that this hunting strategy would have worked for any large theropod species with prey less hydrodynamic than itself, so we can also imagine carcharodontosaurids, abelosaurids, and other theropods engaging in the same water-herding behavior to trap their meals. Thanks for watching! Paleontology is full of surprises, and I know I'm always thrilled to learn more. If you have any articles you'd like to see me cover, drop them in the comments below and make sure to subscribe. The next time dinosaurs make us question reality, you'll know where to find the truth, right here on the Vivid End.